Hello, welcome to the review of a Mitsubishi Outlander. Now, before we get started, there are plenty of Outlanders for sale on our site. If you're looking for a used one or interested in buying possibly a demo, check out our used car section on the site. We'll leave a link to that in the description below. But let's get on with the review of a brand new Mitsubishi Outlander.
Dream, search, drive. Cars.co.za.
Fafty Clerk knows that no matter what you've done for your country, and the ladies, you can still get caught with your pants down. Don't faff around, just claim via WhatsApp and get paid out quick fast. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
For this generation, it's now based on the same platform as a Nissan X-Trail, so you get a monocoque chassis underneath. This one is specifically a 7-seater now, and Mitsubishi have fitted this one with the 2.5 litre naturally aspirated engine. So we can talk a little bit about that engine, I guess. It's an old unit. It's done a lot of time in many generations of X-Trail. It does come with a CVT gearbox in here, and it does 131 kilowatts and 251 Newton meters of torque. So it's fairly average. Obviously, naturally aspirated engines don't work so well at altitude like places in Joburg or Pretoria. But nevertheless, it's quite a cheap engine to build, and it does reasonable fuel consumption. In here, it's done about, let's have a look actually. It's done 899 kilometers at an average of 9.2 liters per 100 kilometers. So fairly efficient. Obviously a modern turbocharged engine, if you drive it really nicely and under the boost, will do better fuel economy, and a diesel even more so. You'll probably get 6 or even 5 liters per 100 kilometers out of a diesel. But this naturally aspirated engine does the job in here. It's never going to be a performance car. It's not built as a performance car. So in terms of just pottering around town or going out on a long drive, it'll hold the national speed limit fairly well. It'll accelerate okay. It does the job. It's an engine that doesn't excite but doesn't disappoint too much either. So in that regard, it's okay. Obviously, the more weight you throw in here, the more it's going to struggle, but that's the case for really any engine. As for the gearbox in here, it's a CVT gearbox, and it doesn't really bother you too much. It's when you need to accelerate or overtake something that a CVT gearbox tends to drone on a little bit or provide elastic acceleration. But in here, it's perfectly fine, well suited, and keeps the revs down, keeps it quiet in the cabin as well. And that is one thing where this Outlander is really good. It's quiet on the road. There's not much road noise despite 20-inch wheels, and there's not much wind noise off of anything here. It's well insulated, and the cabin feels quiet and premium. Even like hitting bumps and stuff, the intrusion from the noise isn't particularly bad. So what sort of interior do you get for your money? Well, it's actually a pretty good one in here. This quilted leather is really nice. It's the same on the seats. They're really comfortable seats. You feel really nice and settled in here. There's a mix of like materials and cushioning, which really makes it feel like a comfortable seat for long journeys. And then nice leather paneling on the doors. The steering wheel is stitched leather as well, and then there's sort of leather across the dash. It's maybe not the most amazingly designed interior, but it does feel well put together, and it feels sturdy. Definitely an interior that's well built and made to last. As for your infotainment system up here, the X-Trail that it's based on actually has a bigger screen here in their top spec model. So if the infotainment screen size is all that you're interested in, the X-Trail does have a bigger one. That said, this 9-inch screen is actually big enough. I feel like the resolution is high enough on the graphics and stuff. It has all of your accessibility options like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, although it does need to be accessed via the USB-C port down the bottom here. As for things like the camera, it only has a rear camera, which doesn't have particularly amazing resolution. The X-Trail in the same league has a 360-degree camera, but that's kind of how they separate the two cars. The Outlander is based more in terms of practicality, where the X-Trail is a bit more tech-focused. That's to say that it does have everything you need. I would have liked a wireless charging port down the bottom here, but overall the rubberization and holding point for your phone or keys down there is quite good. You've got 2 cup holders down here, and then you've got a whole load of drive modes that you can engage here for sort of dirt, tarmac, what else we had, gravel, snow and mud. Those all sort of change the traction control settings to adjust for the surface underneath you. In terms of ride and road holding, I'm quite impressed with the Outlander. It's on the softer side, which I think is what you want for a practical family SUV. And despite the 20-inch wheels, it kind of still doesn't knock or thump unless it's like a really big pothole or a manhole cover, something like that. And even the steering is pretty good. I'm happy with how direct it is, how responsive it is, and sort of the weighting of it here as well. I don't know about these flappy paddles. I don't think that's really necessary, especially when it's a CVT gearbox. I'd be fine doing away with those, but I guess if you quickly need to shuffle through some of the steps on the CVT gearbox, that's okay. Obviously, on-road refinement and manners are important in a car like this, where it's going to be used 99% of the time. But we have a dirt road here, so we might as well see what it's like. Now, if we speed up to sort of 60 or 70 on this, it's still quiet in here. The sound deadening in here is really good. 20-inch wheels probably a little bit more noticeable in terms of the bumps and undulations in here. This is quite a chattered road. Sorry, it's quite washboard gravel, I think they call it. What's the practicality like on the Mitsubishi Outlander? Well, on this Aspire model, the boot is hands-free, so if I wiggle my foot underneath here, it should open. Ah, it does. Good news. And at the moment, this is in 5-seater mode, so you get 650 liters of space in here. It's quite a large area. I'll use my trusty Cars.co.za cooler box to give you an idea. So it goes under there, and you'll get about 1, 2, 3 and a little bit, and probably 2 in front of each other. But because this is a 7-seater, I'm going to lift up the middle seats. This has got this weird cover on it which kind of gets in the way, so if I lift that up, kind of leave that hanging there. You'll notice there are no headrests here. That's because they live underneath here. They're quite big for headrests actually, but if we plug them in there, with the click of that, you'll notice you can actually still get a cooler box behind here, but whether it closes or not, we'll have to see. So let's give that the old flick and see if we close here. Oh, is it going to close? Clicked in. Not bad. Normally you can't even get a laptop behind the third row, but a cooler box in behind the third row of seats. That's a win for the Mitsubishi in terms of practicality, but is there actually space for humans in those third row of seats? Let's see if I fit in there. So the Outlander positions itself as a 7-seater. So let's test out those third row of seats. Firstly, you need to fold this down, slide it forward on the rails, then look awkward as you squeeze yourself in here. Now, immediately I have headroom issues, but let's do this anyway. So you can recline this to multiple levels. That should make both the second row occupant and myself reasonably comfortable. I don't have much foot room. They're kind of stuck underneath here. Headroom is still tight, but you do get cup holders in the back here, which is good. And then you've got a proper 3-point seat belt, which actually hides away here. But if we get that in there, I'm successfully in, although maybe not the most comfortable I've been in a 7-seater, but maybe for children should be fine. I don't see myself doing too many long journeys like this though. The rear seats on the Mitsubishi Outlander. I may look cramped right now, but this seat is slid forward into its furthest forwardmost position. So I'm still relatively comfortable. I'm quite high in the back here as well. So the sunroof kind of intrudes on my headroom, but it does have a secret trick. These seats obviously slide back, and then I can go into full recline mode, at which point I've got loads of leg room, loads of foot room. I'm really comfortable back here, and I've got excessive headroom in the little reading light here if I need it. As for amenities back here, I really like this quilted leather back here. You've got automatic windows, quite a small cup holder area there, but you do have climate control for the back here, which is excellent. And then a USB-A and USB-C port for charging. The center armrest does fold down, but it actually brings the whole seat down, so whatever's in the boot can also slide through. Then you've got these permanently exposed cup holders, and you can slide the headrest forward for extra arm support. Overall, it's really nice in here. I really like the plushness and the space that the Outlander provides in the second row. So why doesn't the Outlander sell in like amazing numbers if it's such a good quality car like the one I'm driving here is? It's kind of because the Toyota Fortuner exists. So at 750,000 Rand, which this Outlander costs, you can get a 2.4 4x4 automatic Fortuner, and that's a hard car to turn down in South African conditions. We tend to overcar ourselves for 4x4 stuff, so we think, oh, if we're going to go away, we need the best 4x4, we need low range, we need massive ground clearance, and that's why we buy things like Fortuners instead of cars like the Mitsubishi Outlander or a Subaru Outback. These cars sell amazingly well in our neighboring market, Australia, where an Outlander is one of the best-selling vehicles in the country, as is the Outback for that matter. And the Fortuner doesn't really sell at all. They have a Kluger, I think it is, over there, and that's what they sell more of than Fortuners. But for South African conditions, the Fortuner does make sense. If you want to go really off the beaten path, use your low-range gearbox, and have a kind of Toyota no worries buying experience, that's acceptable, I guess. I mean, Mitsubishi is still a great Japanese brand renowned for reliability and build quality, so it's not like you're buying into a poor performing brand. It's a great brand, maybe doesn't have the dealer network that, say, Toyota does, but you're still getting a really good road car, and in terms of like road going manners, it's far better than the ladder frame chassis of something like a Fortuner. Where cars like the Fortuner do have an advantage is that diesel motor gives you a lot of torque, so you're able to tow a little bit more. So keep that in mind if you are going to be towing a caravan or a trailer a lot. This is only available in a petrol engine, so not as great at towing as, say, a diesel is. And obviously the Fortuner, because of its ladder frame, can tow a bigger weight behind you as well. I think this is limited to 1.5 tons, where a Fortuner is up to 3.5 tons behind it on a brake trailer. So be aware of that. But if you don't plan on doing the hardest off-road trails possible, or going somewhere where you're going to need low range and like deep sand or something like that, then the Outlander is probably capable enough. Its all-wheel drive will get you through most situations, and day to day this is going to be easier to live with. After-sales service of the Mitsubishi is actually quite good. You get a 3-year 100,000 kilometer warranty and a 5-year 90,000 kilometer service plan, which is pretty standard for the segment. So fair enough, I guess. There's no real area where it excels and nowhere where you can really complain about that. Right, so how do I sum up the Mitsubishi Outlander? Really good car. I think it's capable, definitely decent off-road, really good on-road, nice refinement and good road manners. At 750,000 Rand, it's reasonably priced, and it offers pretty good value for it. It doesn't have tons of active safety. This is more based at your practical buyer who's not necessarily looking for all that faff in terms of tech. Even though some of it is really good tech to have, and it does still have a decent amount of creature comforts. Well, the obvious selling point of the Outlander is the 7 seats. I think there are 5-seater 4x4 options which probably offer better value in something like a Tucson or a RAV4 or something in that sort of region. But if you do need the 7 seats, it's definitely a good jack of all trades. It's a good on-road, it's good when things get rough. The Mitsubishi brand is well known for being reliable and durable, and there's excellent build quality in here. Would I buy it? Mitsubishi is a good brand. You can't really complain about Mitsubishi's after sales, service, reliability. All of that stuff is good. They just don't seem to quite sell, and that's obviously because people in the segment tend to buy Fortuners. But that saying, if you are in the market for something that's a little bit more road biased and you don't think you need a hardcore off-roader, it's a really good new car, this.
Cars.co.za.
Not only is Cars.co.za the best place to find your dream car, but it's also the easiest place to sell your current car. Check out the sell car section on our main website. Simply list your car's details and all of our dealers will take bids on your car. You just choose the highest price. Boom, your car's gone. On to your next one. Right, thanks very much for watching the video. Okay, I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm finished now.
You deserve insurance that doesn't faff around. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.